It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
What are you talking about? This is Wretched Radio. Needless to say, there is much going on in our world that urges us to have conversations about what in the world is going on. The question that I believe a Christian should ask and answer is, what are we talking about? Turn on Fox, turn on your local news, the CNN, whatever your preference is, and you will hear pundits that are pontificating on all kinds of issues. And Christians, while we certainly can have thoughts and opinions on all of those things, we bring a unique perspective to all social and political issues. If only we would remember that. Let me take you back in time, give or take 2,000 years. Were there social issues going on in the nation of Israel? Were there political skirmishes? Were there tensions among people? And the answer to those questions is, oh, most certainly there were. You had different sects of Jews. You had zealots. You had Pharisees. You had Sadducees. You had people that had a different take on how a Jew was to live in the first century. What is our attitude toward Rome? The zealots, they believed it's time to kick out the bums. Jesus said, pay your taxes. There were definitely different takes on culture and society. Were there any trade issues? Were there economic issues? Were there financial issues? And the answer to that question is yes, 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 and yes. And so that raises a question. What did Jesus talk about? And can we take his lead in the 21st century to carefully consider how it is that you and I engage in the issues that are raging right now in our culture? Can you and I follow his lead and perhaps bring his message to a situation that is currently painful, it is ugly, it is riddled with violence, animosity? Will we talk like a talking head on a TV show, or will we take the lead of Jesus Christ and talk about the one thing that can help all of these problems? To make my case, permit me to simply share with you what was going on at the time of Jesus Christ. There are some historical records that tell us what the issues of the day were. These are ones I'm almost certain you have never, ever heard about. And Jesus could have spoken up on these, but you'll never read it in the Gospels. From history, Galilee was an important trading route for international use because of its location. The Galileans themselves would have traded their products to big cities around the eastern part of the empire. This view was based on lively counteractions between Galilean cities and villages. For example, it was argued Galilean villagers used to sell their products at the markets in Sepphoris and Tiberias. Concluding from some remains of coinage, the Galileans were supposed to have even remarkable trading with olive oil to Syria, especially to its big trading city Tyrus. Jesus was aware of that. The Galilean was aware of the trade routes that were in place at the time, the rates perhaps of olive oil, what a wage was on the dock. Did he comment on those things? Well, perhaps he talked about them in private company, but that was not what he brought to the conversation of the day, at least recorded for us, because he was about a higher business, a bigger message. He was about what? Bringing the gospel to lost sinners. And he didn't enter the fray on these issues. Let me share some more history. Herod Antipas, needing to expand his revenues in order to fund his ambitious city building, developed fishing into an industry. Working through brokers as intermediaries, the king supplied the equipment, especially the costly, large 26-foot boats that required a crew of 5 or 6. Collaborative crews evidently contracted to deliver a certain percentage of amount of their catch to the processing depots in return for keeping the rest, like sharecroppers. Antipas wanted to honor the emperor by building 2 Roman cities in Galilee. These cities that were under the construction process when Jesus was a young man were Sepphoris and Tiberias, which became the only cities in Galilee with all the pagan buildings like temples and theaters. Sepphoris was rebuilt after the deconstruction by the Romans, now in a more Roman style as a new capital of Galilee. Did you hear Jesus commenting on these issues? He did not. Did he have an opinion? Oh, I'm certain that he did. Did he perhaps discuss these among friends? Sure, I'll bet at dinner conversation it came up. But when he was speaking publicly, we do not have record of Jesus Christ entering into the fray. Does that mean that he had nothing to say that was contemporary? Absolutely not. He did. But his message was uniquely Christian. Repent. Believe the gospel. Consider Luke 13. You have got yourself a scandal that broke. A tower falls. Maybe there was shoddy construction. Maybe they didn't have the correct fences in place. Maybe it was because they hired bad bricklayers for a cheaper rate. And what was his response when that tower collapsed? Repent or you'll perish. No commentary, no criticisms. Repent or you will perish. What about those Jews who were murdered at the altar by Pontius Pilate? Did Jesus Christ comment on Pontius Pilate? No, not that we have record of. Did he make any sort of commentary about the history of the relationship between the Jews and the Gentiles? Nope, don't see it. What did he say? Repent, or you likewise will perish. Over and over and over again on a daily basis, issues were swirling in Israel. And the record that we have of Jesus Christ and his words and his thoughts were all on a different level. Are the issues of our day important? Of course they are. It's imbalanced for us to have the mindset, no, we just think about heaven. No, we don't just think about heaven. We think about it more. But what happens on this planet, it is real, it is important, and it affects real people. And so we care. This does not mean that we have no interest in these things. We do, and it doesn't mean that we can't talk about these things. We most certainly can. But if we're going to take the lead of Jesus Christ, we want to make sure that our message is the message that can actually do something about the problem. Do we not have problems? Do we not see hatred? Do we not see attitudes that are wicked? Of course we certainly are, and there is no doubt about it that your home, like mine, has been consumed with these conversations. And as I just step back to ponder, so what is it that we should be talking about with the world? Do we jump into all of these individual issues? I want to be clear. Yes, we can talk about these things. Of course we can. But if we fail to bring the message of Jesus Christ to these situations, I think we failed. And I think, quite honestly, most likely, whatever your position is on the current issues that we are watching on our news, I almost think we hurt more than we help. Has anybody yet said something that has caused you to go, oh, I've changed my mind about everything. I'm going to stop my behavior. I've had this all wrong. Have you heard anything, really? Do we really believe that a piece of legislation is going to fix the current problems? Do we believe that some sort of article being read in the most prominent of publications is somehow going to bring our country together? Do we really think that a scold or a chide is going to get people to have a better attitude toward one another? Do we really think that what you and I have to say on any one of the myriad of issues that are involved in this complex, nasty ball of twine that we call racial relations is suddenly going to get unwound and made better, and people are going to heal and love one another because of something trite or a meme or something that is presented on a Hallmark movie? Or is it possible that you and I are the only ones that actually have the unique message that could bring about healing and change and love? Maybe, just maybe, it is time to take the lead of Jesus Christ on these social issues and ask ourselves the question, what am I talking about? This is Wretched Radio.
Houston, I think we have a few problems here.
Go ahead, Wretched One.
Besides the fact I'm wearing a cardboard helmet, Houston, you have got one of the biggest false teachers in the universe. Are you kidding? He is so rich.
How rich is he, Wretched One?
I can see his house from here.